It's just great to get back together again and talk to you a little about what a race day will be looking like. I know that we're all looking forward to getting back together and actually seeing one another and being at the race. I know that every time we go, and even though I've been doing this for decades, I drive up the highway, and the moment you see the Texas Motor Speedway, you get this like, ah, it's this moment of wonder, right? And so I just want to give some information on, when you get to the race, what's a typical race day look like? So first off, welcome to the Texas Motor Speedway, and it's neat to be in this great facility that's here. I want to walk you through a little bit of what our setup is going to look like. Of course, this is going to be draft. We're going to work closely with the Texas Motor Speedway, and based on the number of teams, we may reallocate some positions. But when you get to the Texas Motor Speedway, there will be two garages, what we'll call our primary garage and a secondary garage. And we'll allocate you some space for where your solar car will go, where your support vehicles will go, where your trailer go, and the like. But we'll also have very defined positions for where the charging stations are going to be located and where the entrance and exit of the track will be like. There will be specific locations of where solar cars come in and out, where support vehicles come in and out, and so on. I want to sort of orient you a little bit to where key things will be located. One, when you're working on your vehicle and you need power, you need other things, you'll be working in your garage slot that will be assigned to you, and you'll be inside the building. There will be doors that you would open, and there would be a breeze and the like, and you can work on your car there. But during the race, you will actually also be assigned what we call a pit slot, a place where your team can set up that's dedicated to yours, and you can essentially be on what we call the garage side of the pit wall, and you would be able to go and set up a command station there, monitor your car, and the like. On the other side of pit wall, or what we call the track side of pit wall, is the pit lane. And then there's the main course of travel where you would drive your solar car. And then finally, there's a position out in the stands for spotters, and we'll walk through that as well. So just a little orientation about how we lay things out at the Texas Motor Speedway. So let's walk through what a typical day looks like. So when we first get started, we get started at 6:30 in the morning. That's basically when you will have access to your cars. Between when impound closes and impound opens, you are not allowed to access the car. And so we basically say, you've got to leave. We close all the doors, and we secure it with our security folks, just so that you guys can get some sleep, and so that we can just maintain the security of the location. But at 6:30, you're allowed to go to the racetrack, get access to your car. Your judge, who you'll be assigned a judge every day, your judge will be waiting there for you, getting ready to talk with you and work things out and get ready for the day. When impound opens, you're free to go and grab your solar car, and typically teams would go out and take it out to the parking lot area and be able to go and charge their car. You might choose to do some maintenance. Some teams choose to do a daily alignment of their wheels, for example, or they might want to make sure that the solar panels are wiped down and clean. So a lot of these maintenance things can happen at the beginning of the day. And I think a lot of teams also expect that they want to recover a little bit more charge at the beginning of the day, even if it's just a little bit. One of the interesting things is people do tend to want to get there at the very beginning so that they can take their car out and basically cone off an area that's best suited for charging in the morning. The morning and evening suns, when we get to that part, is going to be a very sharp angle, and there are certain locations at the parking lot that really gets the last little bit of sun, and so people tend to do that. One morning is if you do brake impound before we get there at 6:30, then that would result in a penalty. So you definitely want to keep an eye on that. So once you got in your car, you got it set up, at 8 o'clock, we will have our required teams meeting. And this is where we want to give you the news of the day, observations that we have noticed from the previous day, or upcoming things that we notice. Like if we generally check the weather, and if there's some type of weather event, we'll let you know about that. We'll let you know about other special things that are going on at that time. And then we would also announce the previous day's results and start order. And so you definitely need to make sure that you're there for that. It's required for everyone to attend. Right after that, we have a time to start lining up. And you'll see when you get a full schedule, what we call the where to be, what to do document, you'll see all these times there. We say, hey, your teams, you got to line up at 8:45. But honestly, it really starts at about 8:30, soon after the teams meeting ends. We start getting some of the teams in line, because you can see in the pictures here, there are a lot of cars that need to be lined up, and there's not that much time to do it. And so we ask that if you are, ready to go, that you start moving towards the line so that we can get everyone in place. You want to be lined up by 8:45 so that we can make sure everyone's in the right place. And that will also help us know that if you decide you don't want to be at the race start for the beginning of the day, that's your option too. Some teams choose to say, well, I really want to stay charging for a little bit longer. I don't want to be there at the beginning of the day. You're free to do that. You would just tell your judge, hey, I'm scratching for today. I'll start later. And if you do decide to do that, you simply wait until all the other cars are released, and then you can essentially start after that. The other thing that goes on at about this time is that the spotters will be crossed over the track to the stands. So if you have someone on your team who you want to have a better view of the track and be able to give the driver some notes and hints as to what's going on. And Lucas will talk a little bit about that, about driving and how maybe the spotters will provide that type of information. You want to avail yourself of that. And so you want to make sure that your spotters are there by the scoring tent at 8:45, and then we'll walk you over and have you in the stands before the race starts. At 9 o'clock, we start the race. You'll get a green flag, and you'll just start driving. And during that time, once the car is on the road, you will just go and sit with your judge in your pit slot. You'll have radios communicating with the driver. You'll maybe do some strategy things about calculating how fast you want to go and things like that. All that stuff you would be doing at your pit slot, and then the driver will be driving. So what we do at 9 o'clock is we release cars at a 1 minute interval. So it's sort of a staggered start. So the first car will go at 9 o'clock, the next car at 9:01, 9:02, and so on. And so if you have 20 cars, it's going to take till 9:20 before we fully release. And so just be prepared that you'll be lining up. If you are not lined up, then you lose your spot in line, essentially. If you're not there, we get to your time. It's like, oh, you're not there. You can't squeeze in between the 1 minute releases. You have to wait till the end of the line. So you want to be lined up. And of course, as I said, if you want to scratch and not be there at the start and wait till all the other cars have been released, it's your choice to do that. For the classic, advanced classic, and electric solar division cars, we end at 12 o'clock, the morning session, we call it. And so we'll take a break. We'll let the teams come and charge and do whatever they need to do. This is a great time to grab some lunch. And so we basically take the cars off at noon, plus whatever delta time that you have your start time is. So if you start it at 9:05, then your end time, you have to be off the track by 12:05, or else you don't get credit for that lap. And so you'll take it off. You'll charge your cars. You may do whatever other maintenance things, whatever that you need to do during that time. And then the open and cruiser division cars can stay out. And this is where you have a bit of fun and you can sort of speed up because you have less vehicles in front of you and you can just enjoy driving during that time. Open and cruiser division cars do need to take a break sometime during the day for 30 minutes. We just require that all the other divisions take their break between 12 and 2. From there, it's basically in the afternoon session, essentially restarting the day. So at 15 minutes beforehand, again, you would line up your cars and get ready to go. And that is also the same time in which we want to have the spotters up at the scoring tent. It's all the same type of procedure. So what happens is during the session break, those spotters that you brought up in the morning, when all the cars have come in, other than open cruiser division, we'll actually bring those spotters back so that they can be part of that break. And then for the afternoon session, this would be where you would bring them back up again, and so we can cross over. For open and cruiser division cars, even though they're still out there, we'll keep an eye and make sure it's safe to cross. But also, just because you're not taking the full 2-hour break at that time doesn't mean you can't swap out your spotters. So you can do that as well. So we'll have a morning set of spotters, an afternoon set of spotters, or the same person goes back up. That's okay too. Okay. And then you restart at 2 o'clock. The same procedure as at 9 o'clock at 1 minute intervals. You'll just be part of the race. You might take some, when you're driving, you might drive your electric solar car and need to replace your batteries. That's one of the pictures here. Or you could just be radioing your driver and trying to talk strategy. All these things, the normal things that you would do on a session restart, same as the morning session. From there, we race till 5, and that's when all the teams come off the track at their interval time. And so, if you went out at 9:02, your end time will be at 5:02. And again, you have to cross across the pit wall within your prescribed time, or you don't get credit for that lap. So you want to definitely judge for that and account for how much time it takes to do a particular lap, and make sure that you get credit for all the power that you expended driving that last lap. After 5 o'clock, essentially, you would probably set up your car for charging. You would do whatever maintenance things. One of the other things will be you'll want to essentially clean up your pit area. You can leave tents and other things up if it's not a windy situation, but you'll want to take all that stuff down to the garage area and have it secured. Um, from there, once you get everything squared away, then you're essentially free to do whatever you need to do with the car or yourselves. Grab some dinner and things like that. That'll be your time. And then you have all the way up till 9 o'clock. So essentially, you have about 3.5 to 4 hours of whatever maintenance things that you want to do. And then by 9 o'clock, you must leave the track. Essentially, we secure it. We shoo all the teams out. We secure the garages, and then we have a security crew that's going to be monitoring from the Texas Motor Speedway, who will make sure that no one gets into your cars. And so this allows you some time to be able to rest and recover before the next day. And so that's a little bit about what a typical race day might look like.